another 3. Last one, masters. Keep observing your breath. Gently wrap up your palms and place them in your eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good day, masters. Good evening. Let us start today's session. I'll just wait for another 1 or 2 minutes, masters, so that if any kids can join in, children. Today is a festival day, so all our little masters are busy enjoying the festival. So in the meantime, let me recap what has happened for the past 3 days. So this is, we have this 4-year-old boy who is Lobsang Rampa. So we are seeing his travel from um, from the age 4 years. So let's see how his travel goes so far. The thing is, like, he has started riding on the horse, and his horse is the pony. His pony, he's unable to sit on the pony because he can't control the pony. So he has a nanny called Zoo, old Zoo. Old Zoo was earlier was an was in police army. Now, because he got crippled after being in an in when he was in an involved in an attack which was against the British. There was a war in Tibet. So during that time, he got injured. So later that, he has become as a nanny for this old Zoo. And now, and we also saw what Lobsang Rampa likes the physical activities and his school, and also about his house. And we also now still we are just going through what has happened last day. Yesterday was they are now preparing for this festival. Because of this, they are going to project what his future would be. So that's the reason we will be. So they are projecting what is going to be. So that's a big. Sorry, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Um, they're going to celebrate. They are that particular festival is a big thing. I mean, that ritual is a big thing where his what the astrologers are going to project about Lobsang Rampa future would be. That's a big thing in Tibet for everyone. So let's see what's happening as of now. Like, we have seen that all the ritual for this ritual, what is supposed to happen. So they are getting ready. Her parents, like, they started rolling the invitations out, and then and then we or what was that? Yeah, and his mom was how the meal should be. So she is taking care about the kitchen. I mean, how it should be, the meal should be, and about all those things, and about the house. We also noticed that the cleanliness, how it is. Uh, so far, so today we will be continuing with the food. I mean, how what the food would be in the ritual. So let's continue with that. Let me share. In the meantime, let me share my screen. So let me know you can see my screen, masters. Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, thank you, Mukund. So now we are going. So we have seen yesterday about this petals, about the kind of sweet dish which is being prepared now. So let's see, what's the favorite food for Lobsang Rampa, the 6 years old boy? My favorite was succulent young bamboo shoots, also brought from China. I think you all know succulent means it's a plumpy, juicy one, juicy bamboo shoots he like. These could be cooked in various ways, but I preferred them raw with just a dab of salt. My choice was just the newly opening yellow-green ends. I'm afraid that many shoots, before cooking, lost their ends in a manner to which the cook could only guess and not prove. Rather a pity, because the cook also preferred them that way. So he's telling, like, normally the cooks would chop off the ends. So but Lobsang Rampa likes them. So he's telling like it's not, sadly they'll be, so the cooks will remove them. So but he likes them, and he's also stating like apart from being cooked, he also likes them to have it as a raw, just with little salt. Cooks in Tibet are men. Women are no good at stirring sampa. So here, normally they prefer men for cooking, because for stirring sampa, they do not use women. Probably it might be a difficult task. Let's see. Or making exact mixtures. Women take a handful of this, slap in a lump of that, and season with hope that it will be right. So he's telling like if woman prepares the sampa, it's a kind of porridge kind of thing, masters, like prepared from the barley grains, and they put something. So we'll see how they will describe later. So that is what, like women will just take something and they'll put it, and according to their instinct they will go. But men are more thorough. Thorough means it's like they will be very careful, more painstaking, and so better cooks means they are very accurate. So they go by measurements, men. So women are all right for dusting, talking, and of course for few things, not for making sampa though. What is sampa? Let's see. Sampa is the main food of Tibetans. Some people live on sampa and tea from their first meal in life to their last. It is made from barley, which is roasted to a nice crisp golden brown. So now they are saying how sampa is made. It's a kind of grain. Barley is a kind of grain. So it would be roasted till it turns to a golden color, golden brown. Then the barley kernels are cracked so that the flour is exposed, and then it is roasted again. This flour is then put in a bowl and hot buttered tea is added. So for this flour, they will add some kind of tea with butter. Okay. The mixture is stirred until it attains the consistency of dough. Dough means like, like how we make chapati, that particular dough will be. So that kind of consistency you can say. So when they mix it, it will get that kind of consistency. So it is called as dough. Salt, borax, and yak butter are added to taste. So these are the things which would be added. The result, sampa can be rolled into slabs, made into buns, or even molded into decorative shapes. So with this dough, so how we get the buns and everything, the same way they use this sampa as that can be cooked and used as buns, and it can be made into different shapes, whatever it is. Okay, sampa is monotonous stuff alone. But it is very compact, concentrated food which will sustain life at all altitudes under all conditions. So they're saying, so it's like with the temperature variation in Tibet, we have seen like there is too much of temperature in the morning, that in the nights it goes below 10 degrees. So because of this difference of the temperature, and that too the Lhasa is 12,000 feet high, so this food sustains well, means they'll be able to eat it at any time. So it has a very long time for the food before spoiling. That's what it means. While some servants were making sampa, others were making butter. So now the task is divided between the servants. Like a few servants will make sampa and a few will make the butter. Now let's see how the butter they are going to make. Our butter making methods could not be commended on hygienic grounds. They're saying like it's not recommended on hygienic grounds. I mean, the way they do butter. How do they do? Let's see. Our churns means like they can, to make a butter, like there will be a kind of, it, in olden days, they use this stick to churn, but here what they used to churn, to stir something. Okay, our churns were large goat skin bags. It's not stick anything. It's large goat skin bags with the hair inside. Okay, masters. So that's the reason he said like it's not hygienic. So please do mind. Okay, they were filled with yak or goat milk, and the neck was then twisted, turned over, and tied to make it leak proof. So they would use, let me just mute everyone. Joshua, can you mute everyone who are logging in? Okay. Thank you. Our churns were large goat skin bags with the hair inside. They were filled with yak or goat milk, and the neck was then twisted, turned over, and tied to make it leak proof. Okay, now they have put the milk into this. The whole thing was done, then bumped up and down until butter was formed. So they would put the milk inside and they will tie it, and then they will bump up and down. We had a special butter making floor which had stone protuberances about 18 inches high. Protuberances. So what is protuberances means? Like it's like humps or bumps on a stone. So that is there. He's telling it's a special butter making floor. That floor will have some humps made of stone. Okay, about 18 inches high. So the bags full of milk were lifted and dropped on these protuberances, which had the effect of churning the milk. So what they used to say is like they'll put the milk in this goat bag, goat skin, and inside there it has the hair, and then they tie the neck of that bag, and then they'll carry it and drop on this bumps of the stones so that it will churn the milk. Means it will stir the milk so that a butter can be made out of the milk. It was monotonous. It's like monotonous means like it's tiresome, boring. Yeah, it was monotonous to see and hear perhaps 10 servants lifting and dropping these bags hour after hour. There was the indrawn as the bag was lifted, and the squashy as it was dropped. So that's a normal sounds which we can see when people are doing heavy jobs. We could see this kind of sounds which comes automatically. Everyone has their own kind of sounds, I could say. So sometimes a carelessly handled or old bag would burst. So sometimes like this milk bags are very heavy, and sometimes what happens, sometimes it will burst out because they have tied the neck, isn't it? Let's see why it will burst. I remember one really hefty fellow who was showing off his strength. So there was a guy who was showing that he's very strong, he has too much of strength, and he's very strong. He was working twice as fast as anyone else, and the veins were standing out on his neck with the exertion. Someone said, "You are getting old, Timon. You are slowing up." Timon grunted with rage, and grabs the neck of the bag in the mighty hands, lifted it, and dropped the bag down. But his strength had done its work. The bag dropped, but Timon still had his hands and the neck in the air. So he squared on the stone protuberances, dropped the bag. Up shot a column of half-formed butter. So he's telling there was a guy who was named as Timon. He was showing off that he's very strong. And then what happened? Suddenly, one of his fellow, he said like, "Oh yeah, man, you're becoming weak." So he got very anger for this. So he took, is it? I'm not weak. So he just took this milk bag with so anger, and then he tried to drop it. So when he was dropping, he did not. After dropping, he did not leave leave the hand. So what happened? He also turned onto the upside of the upside, so that so when he dropped the bag onto the floor, he also went along onto it, and the bag opened. Square on the stone protuberances dropped the bag. Up shot a column of half-formed butter. So the butter was still forming under the formation. So this came out of it, out of the bag because of the force. Straight into the face of stupefied Timon it went. Stupefied means he's very confused because this process he hasn't expected, isn't it? Like he would fall down, he would have not thought about it. Into his mouth. So the butter went into his mouth, eyes, ears, and hair. Ooh, running down his body, covering him with 12 to 15 gallons of golden slush. Okay? I feel it's interesting, isn't it? Mother, attracted by the noise, rushed in. It was the only time I have known her to be speechless because you know that her mom is bossy. So she is telling like, this time his mother did not utter any single word. It may have been rage at the loss of the butter. She should be at least anger because she lost the butter, so much of butter, or because she thought the poor fellow was choking. Means like that poor fellow who has fallen into the milk bag. So his choking means he is out of the breath for breath. But she ripped off the torn goat skin. So probably the goat skin he was covered with that when he fallen into it. So and thwacked poor Timon over the head with it. So and then he just strike him. She just strike him over the head because he lost his footing on the slippery floor and dropped into the spreading butter mess again. Okay. Clumsy workers such as Timon could ruin the butter. If they were careless when plunging the bags onto the protruding stones, they would cause the hair inside the bags to tear loose and become mixed with the butter. No one minded picking a dozen or two hairs out of the butter, but whole wads means lot of plenty of it was frowned upon. Like if someone see like one, so like they say in the butter, because it is made inside the bag which has hair, isn't it? We just saw here inside the goat skin bag with hair inside. So because of that, like it is expected that you will have some hair. So it's like dozen or few, it should be fine, but not lot of them. If there is lot of hair in the butter, then everyone would not accept it. Such butter was set aside for use in the lamps or for distribution to beggars who would heat it and strain it through a piece of cloth. So they will give this to beggars so that they can heat it and then again clean it with the help of a cloth. Also set aside for beggars were the mistakes in culinary preparations. So even if there is something wrong while cooking or something also, they would give it to beggars, it seems. If a household wanted to let the neighbors know what a high standard was set, a really good food was prepared and set before the beggars as mistakes. So it's like kind of trick. Okay, so if I have done something nice, that's what they're saying. Like if something we have done good food, and so we would give it to the beggars. So the beggars would say like beggars would think that it's very good. So these happy, well-fed gentlemen would then wander around to the other houses saying how well they had eaten. So the neighbors would respond by seeing that the beggars had a very good meal. So, okay, this is how if the neighbors want to say, that's like fame for the persons who have done it. Like they would get this name. Okay, they have done a very good meal. It's a delicious. That's how beggars would go and say to the next neighbors. I mean, where if they go for begging, so they would use these kind of words so that the neighbors would be around, would be aware that, oh, okay, it's a delicious meal they have made. Okay. And let's see, there is much to be said for the life of beggar in Tibet. Now they're going to say about the beggar. They never want, by using the tricks of their trade, they can live exceedingly well. They're saying like by beggars in Tibet, they can live exceedingly well. There is no disgrace in begging in most of the Eastern countries. So disgrace means like there is no shame in begging in most of the Eastern countries. Many monks beg their way from Lamasari to Lamasari. It's like a spiritual community. It is called as Lamasari. It's a spiritual community. Okay, it is recognized practice and is not considered any worse than is, say, collecting for charities in other countries. Those who feed a monk on his way are considered to have done a good deed. Even we feel the same, isn't it, masters? When we give something for the beggars, so we feel that it's a good deed. That's the same thing in Tibet as well. 100 years back, you have to remember that it's 100 years back. Beggars too have their code. They have their own terms, it seems. What is it? If a man gives to a beggar, that beggar will stay out of the way and will not approach the donor again for a certain time. So there is a deal, okay? If someone has given a meal to a beggar, that beggar will not go and again trouble this man again to have some more meal. So it's like he will not go to that man until for few days. Next, the two priests attached to our household also had their, now again we are back to this. So far we have and I think we have gone from making the butter, churning the butter out of the milk, to it went to this beggars, and now again we are back to this household work for the preparations. So we are back to the home. Lobsang Rampa's house, what is inside the house. So now the two priests attached to our household also had their part in the preparations for the coming event. They went to each animal carcass in our ladders and said prayers for the souls of the animals who had inhabited those bodies. So I've told you that like Buddhist people, they do not kill the animal and eat the meat. If an animal is dead by its own, or if it has been killed by an accident, then that dead animal's meat, they would consume it. So they are saying like, so the priests were there, who were there in their house, they would go to each animal's carcass, means it's a dead animal's body. So in our ladders, means in our storerooms, and said prayers for the souls of the animals who had inhabited, who have been owning those bodies. So they would say prayers for those dead animal bodies, for the souls, okay, for souls of the animals. It was our belief that if an animal was killed, even by accident, and eaten, humans would be under a debt to that animal. Means they would have that debt, that kind of relationship which would hook to them in the later lives. So such debts were paid by having a priest pray over the animal body in the hope of ensuring that the animal reincarnated into a higher status in the next life upon earth. In the Lama series and temples, some monks devoted the whole time praying for animals. So there were few monks dedicated only for animals. Our priests had the task for praying over the horses before a long journey, prayers to avoid the horses becoming too tired. So see masters, how they are taking care of the animals. So like even the priests, they will pray for the horses also before they start any journey, and not for the horse to be strong and not to get too tired. In this connection, so what would they do if their horses do not want to get too tired? Let's see. In this connection, our horses were never worked for 2 days together. They'll not work 2 days together, means 2 continuous days, the same horse should not be used. If a horse was ridden on one day, then it had to be rested the next day. That is the rule. That's how, I mean, they're treating the animals. Animals are not just animals. Animals equally to the man. So they are giving their own space, what is needed for animals. The same rule applied to the work animals, and they all knew it. Even the animals knew the rule, it seems. So good to know, isn't it? If by any chance a horse was picked for riding and it had been ridden the day before, it would just stand still and refuse to move. So what is that saying? If they are picked, if the horse has ridden the previous day, and if they are going to ride it again the next day, the horse is not going to move. It will say, no, I can't. When the saddle was removed, it would turn away with a shake of the head as if to say, well, I'm glad that injustice has been removed. So good. So they're saying like, okay, saddle means the seat on the horse. So if someone wants to ride, they need to put the saddle on the horse. So that means we are going to ride. So the horse knew like that. So if the saddle is removed, they're saying like, if sometimes unexpectedly if they put the saddle on the horse which was ridden before the day, then the horse will not move, and until we remove the saddle, and even the animal knows, and it will look, okay, good, you have not doing any injustice here. Donkeys were worse. They would wait until they were loaded, and then they would lie down and try to roll on the load. Okay, see how animals are intelligent, isn't it? We had 3 cats and they were on duty all the time. One lived in the stables and exercised a stern discipline over the mice. Stern discipline means strict discipline over the mice. They were watching continuously for the mice. They had to be very wary mice. Wary means careful mice, to remain mice and not cat food. They're saying like mice has to be very careful, otherwise they're going to become the cat food. Another cat lived in the kitchen. He was elderly and a bit of simpleton. His mother had been frightened by the guns of young husband expedition in 1904. So we know that there was an attack on Tibet in 1904 by the British. That's what he is saying here. The young husband, and he had been born too soon and was the only one of the litter to live. So during that time, this elder cat was born. Appropriately, he was called young husband. The third cat, that is the second one. The third cat was very respectable matron who lived with us. She was a model of maternal duty, means like motherly duty, and did her utmost to see that cat population was not allowed to fall. Means it always used to give birth to cats. When not engaged as nurse to her kittens, means when it is not feeding their kittens, her kittens, she used to follow mother about from room to room. She was small and black, and in spite of having a hearty appetite, she looked like a walking skeleton. So they are telling, like he's telling, that even the cat was, she has a good appetite when she could eat a lot, but still she was looking like a skeleton. Tibetan animals are not pets, nor are they slaves. They are beings with a useful purpose to serve, being with rights just as human beings have rights. According to Buddhist belief, all animals, all creatures, in fact, have souls and are reborn to earth in successively higher stages. So they have the belief in Buddhists stating that all creatures, in fact, have souls and they are reborn on the earth in the next level, in the higher stages. Quickly, so now again, so we are back to this. Now that they have so initially the discussion came with the priests who started praying for their animals, right? And now we are going back to the same conversation about the rituals. So now they're telling about the invitations. Quickly, the replies to our invitations came in. So we have discussed last class that the horsemen took the invitations to the people, for the honorable people. So now, so they have got the replies, it seems. Men came galloping up to our gaze, brandishing the cleft messenger sticks. So now these horsemen who went came back with their messenger sticks. Down from his room would come the steward to do honor to the messenger of the nobles. So the steward, who is caretaker of the house, who would come down and will do the honor for the messengers. So the man would snatch his message from the stick and gasp out the verbal version. So the written message from the nobleman. So he would take out that, the horseman would take out that, and he would hand it over to the steward and then say it aloud. What we have noticed, there are two versions. So one is a message and the other one is verbal. So if they need all both the versions in order to believe. So then he would sag at the knees. He means the horseman who had written. He would sink at the knees and sink to the ground with exquisite histrionic art to indicate that he had given all his strength to deliver his message to the house of Rampa. He would sink on the knees and he would say, I have given my complete strength to deliver this message on behalf of this house of Rampa. So that's how it's like kind of dramatical kind. Okay, our servants would play their part by crowding around with many clucks. So all the servants, when these horsemen come, all the servants in the house, they would round that horseman, and they would be uttering some sounds like, poor fellow, he made a wonderful quick journey. Burst his heart with speed, no doubt. He has come so fastly. He has delivered the message, and he's so good, so good. That's what they used to say. Poor noble fellow. I once say again our mischievous Lobsang Rampa, what he did. I once disgraced myself completely by piping up. Disgrace means so he got ashamed of himself. Oh, so what did he say? Oh no, he hasn't. So everyone is saying this horseman, he has come rushingly. He went and he delivered the message and he came back rushingly. But Rampa is saying, oh no, he hasn't. I saw him resting a little way out so that he could make a final dash. So he's saying, no, he did not come rushly. He was waiting there. He was sitting and relaxing for some time. Then he came so that he can make that kind of extra rush in his effort. So like he's ashamed for speaking these kind of words. He's telling it will be discreet. It would be it will be discreet to draw a veil of silence over the painful scene which followed. So it's like he's stating like it will be good if you can keep that silence, so that because they have done their efforts, so let us at least um, express it by express our gratitude by at least showing some silence, so that it will be good for him. Okay, for the horseman. At last the day arrived. Which day? The projection of his future, I mean they're predicting of this of his future. That day I dreaded. The day I dreaded means like he's very uh, feared, when my career was to be decided for me. With no choice on my part. So there he's telling like, I don't have any choice at all. So, but still the day has come. The first rays of the sun were peeping over the distant mountains when a servant dashed into my room. So the first rays were coming, it seems. So the servant has, when the servant has entered his room. What? Not up yet? Tuesday, Lobsang Rampa? My, you are a lie abed. It's 4 o'clock and there is much to be done. Get up. So that's what he's saying, his servant. He's saying like, Tuesday Lobsang Rampa, you're still lying in the bed. Lie abed means like who is not rising up from the bed and sleeping for a long time. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and there is much to be done. Get up. I pushed aside my blanket and got to my feet. For me, this day was to point the path of my life. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, master. So let's see who we don't get up at 4 o'clock in the mornings, aren't we? Do we get up at 4 o'clock? Let's see after I'll open when we open our discussion, we will see. Okay. In Tibet, two names are given. The first being the day of the week on which one was born. So for every person, there will be two names given. The first one was on which day of the week they are born. Okay, so I was born on a Tuesday. So Lobsang Rampa was born on Tuesday. So Tuesday was my first name. Interesting, isn't it? Then Lobsang, that was a name given to me by my parents. But if a boy should enter a lamasery, he would be given another name, his monk name. So lamasery, I have told you that it's a kind of spiritual community or religious community. So if someone has to go there, then there should be a monk name, it seems. Was I to be given another name? He's telling, what are they going to be predicting in my future? Am I getting another name? Only the passing hours would tell. Okay, so I at 7 wanted to be a boatman, swaying and tossing on the river Sangpo, 40 miles away. He wanted to become a boatman, it seems. But wait a minute, he's saying, did I? Boatmen are of low caste because they use boats of yak hide stretched over wooden formers. He's telling they use these boats for yak hide. So these boatmans are considered as low caste. So he's again thinking, boatman, low caste. Okay, no, I don't want to be. I wanted to be a professional flyer of kites. Now he is thinking about his being a professional flyer of kites, it seems, because he likes flying kites. Isn't it? We also seen one kind of activity where it took him to what do you say, to some trouble, and he was caught for it, and he has to pay for that, isn't it? So let's see, what is it? I wanted to be a professional flyer of kites. That was better to be as free as the air, much better than being in a degrading little skin boat drifting on a turgid stream. Yeah, it's better choice for me. Flying, being a professional flyer would be better. It's better than going on the streams of the streams on a boat. So it's better. Yeah, better option to be a kite flyer. Okay, a kite flyer, that is what I would be, and make wonderful kites with huge heads and glaring eyes. Wow, interesting. But today, the priest, astrologers would have their say. Now, they are going to predict my future. Let's see what they're going to say. That's what his thinking is. Perhaps I would left it a bit late. I could not get out of the window and escape now. He's thinking like perhaps I should have escaped now from the house, but I can't go. Father would soon send men to bring me back. No, after all, I was a Rampa and had to follow the steps of tradition. Maybe the astrologers would say that I should be a kite flyer. I could only wait and see. So now this is a chapter 2, end of my childhood. So masters, as we have only a few kids today, so I thought like I'll cover a little more and we'll open up for discussion in another 10 minutes or 7 to 8 minutes. So chapter 2, end of my childhood. Oh, Yelge, you're pulling my head off. I shall be as bald as a monk if you don't stop. Hold your peace, Tuesday Lobsang. Your pigtail. Pigtail means it's like they have their lengthy hair so that they need to braid it. Your pigtail must be straight and well buttered on or your honorable mother will be after my skin. So she is a servant, isn't it? His mother will be after the servant if she or he hasn't done the work as it has to be. But Yelge, you don't have to be so rough. You're twisting my head off. Oh, I can't bother about that. I'm in a hurry. So there I was, sitting on the floor with a tough man servant. It's a he then, with a tough man servant winding me up by the pigtail. Eventually, the wretched thing was as stiff as a frozen yak. He's telling us about his pigtail. It's so frozen, it's so tight and shining like a moonlight on a lake because it's well oiled, is it? Well oiled, okay? Mother was in a well means it's like on a spin or a sudden movements, like she's going again. He can't see his mother, so quick she is. Mother was in a well, moving around so fast that I felt almost as if I had several mothers. Lobsang Rampa has written it very well. I could imagine it, what is going through. I think, are you guys visualizing what I'm saying? It's so interesting, masters. There were last minute orders, final preparations, and much excited talk. Yesho, his sister, 2 years older than I, was bustling. Bustling means it's like she's also active, bustling about like a woman of 40. She's telling like my sister is only 2 years older than me, but she is behaving like a 40 years because she's also so active, helping there, here, and there. Father had shut himself in his private room and was well out of the uproar. He's telling like his father was shut himself in a private room, and so he has a kind of nervousness, uneasiness, so he did not come out of the room. I wished I could have joined him. For some reason, mother had arranged for us to go to the Jokang, the Cathedral of Lhasa. Apparently, we had to give a religious atmosphere to the later proceedings. So her mother wanted to go them to a cathedral, it seems. At about 10 in the morning, a triple toned gong was sounded to call us to our assembly point. we all mounted ponies. So he's telling like we all got onto the ponies, father, mother, Yasho, and about 5 others, including a very reluctant me. Means he's not interested at all. He does not want to. Am I right? Yeah. We turned across the Linkor Road and left at the foot of the Potala. This is a mountain of buildings 400 feet high and 1200 feet long. It's this is again 400 feet high. Already Lhasa is 12,000 feet above the sea level. From that, it is again 400 feet high, and this mountain of buildings is of 1200 feet long. That long, it seems 1200 feet long. Past the village of Sho, we went along the plain of the Kichu until half an hour later we stood in front of the Jokang. It's a kind of temple. Okay, around it clustered small houses, shops, and stalls to lure the pilgrims. They're telling like there are some small shops and houses and stalls are there so that to attract the pilgrims. 1300 years, the cathedral had stood here to welcome the devout. Devout means the devotees. So from 1300 years, it is there. Inside, the stone floors were grooved inches deep by the passage of so many worshippers. Means stone floors were grooved means like the stone floors are deeply marked by the passage because there are so many worshippers coming from so long, from 1300 years. So the floor is having those marks. It says gone little down, the stones on the footprint kind of thing we could see. Deep by the passage of so many worshippers, pilgrims moved reverently around the inner circuit, each turning the hundreds of prayer wheels as they passed and repeating insistently the mantra Om Mane Padme Hum. So they're saying like they used to, the worshippers, and they would circle um, around the cathedral. So how we circle around the temples, that's how they are circling around. He's saying that an inner circuit, each turning the hundreds of prayer wheels as they passed and repeating insistently the mantra. They are in, this is the mantra Om Mani Padmeham. This is the mantra Om Mani Padmeham. Okay, this is the mantra they are repeating insistently, means they're repeating continuously, and they're doing the circles. Huge wooden beams, black with age, supported the roof, and the heavy odor of constantly burning incense drifted along like a summer clouds at the crest of a mountain. Around the walls were golden statues of the deities of our faith. So they're telling about the inside how it is like, because of this incense sticks, the smoke is coming, and that smoke is like summer clouds at the crest of a mountain, like at the top of a mountain. It is forming like in summer clouds. It's like some kind of clouds. Okay, summer clouds will not will have a very light effect, isn't it? It's not dark clouds. So that's what he means. Stout metal screens with coarse mesh so as not to obstruct the view protected the statues from those whose cupidity overcame their reverence. So they're saying like they have some kind of mesh so that no one can touch the deities. Some people will have that kind of cupidity, means greediness, so that they could steal something. And we want to prevent all this kind of things. There is a mesh. I think I'll stop here, masters. So it's like, which page is it? 29th page. Okay. I'll start from again tomorrow from here. Okay. With this, I'll stop the share. Masters, please do let me know if you have any questions or feedback. Yes, Aradhan, today because of this festival, many masters haven't joined us today. Okay. So a question. So how did the Buddhist? Did the Buddhist people? Um, it's not an appropriate question. I think I don't want to use it. Okay. So what did Lobsang Rampa think that is he wanted to make the career, like what did he wanted to become one? So was he wanted to become a kite flyer, or was he wanted to become um, a stealth walking person, or a boatman, or a pole pole person? What does he wanted to become? Yes.
I think he wants to become a professional kite flyer and maker.
Mm-hmm. Yes, spot on. Next, what can I ask? So was there any time an attack on Tibet? Or did someone attack, like British or someone did? Was there any attacks on Tibet, or were there not? Earlier, so we have just spoken that there were attacks or not. Just let me.
I think the attack of Britain was in 2004.
2004, 1904.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think so. Now we'll see it from tomorrow. We will see how it goes. So what his future would be. Will we be able to see what his prediction is about the future in tomorrow's session, masters? So please do come and join. And thank you, Joshua, for your technical support. Thank you. So we can end the session, Joshua.